One of the big three problems with the Lakers is LeBron James. LeBron James is not a good basketball player anymore.
Just moments after LeBron hinted at his retirement and refused a retirement tour, a Lakers coach said what many have been thinking: it might finally be time.
You know, I think since we've gotten Bron back, we haven't been as organized offensively.
His words were blunt, and when LeBron heard them, his next move caught everyone off guard. What the coach said. J.J. Redick stood at the podium after a loss and talked about his team. He did not mention names. He did not point fingers at one player, but the words he used set off a chain reaction that is still going.
You know, priority number one for me, role clarity. You know, I think since we've gotten Bron back,
The coach paused for a beat and then continued.
we haven't been as organized offensively, too many random possessions. So, you know, that's on me.
Redick said three things in that press conference. He said the team lacked role clarity. He said the offense had been disorganized since LeBron came back from injury, and he said it was on him as the coach. Those are the facts of what came out of his mouth. He took the blame. He said the word LeBron once, and he talked about offensive structure. But that is not how it landed. Craig Carton, host of The Great Garden Show, watched that press conference and came away with a take that had zero gray area. To Carton, Redick had just told the world that LeBron James was done, and Carton did not hold back.
One of the big three problems with the Lakers is LeBron James.
Carton took Redick's comments about offensive role clarity and turned them into a statement about LeBron as a player. He connected the dots in a way that Redick himself never did, at least not publicly. And then he went further.
Maybe you should coach more and be more demanding, but LeBron James is officially now washed.
That word, washed, went everywhere. It got debated on every sports show and every basketball podcast.
LeBron James is not a good basketball player anymore.
That's just
LeBron
false.
James defensively is a pure liability now for the Lakers.
Each sentence was a hammer blow. Carton went even further, tying LeBron's on-court presence to something bigger than basketball.
For a guy that considers himself an ambassador to the sport, you are killing the very sport you think you're the king of.
That is a statement that goes beyond performance. That is a statement about legacy, and it came just days after Redick's press conference. The connection between the two, the coach's measured comments about offensive structure and Carton's scorched earth declaration, was being drawn in real time by millions of viewers. And Carton had one more piece of evidence he wanted the audience to hear. He brought up LeBron's agent Rich Paul in a moment on a podcast.
And even his best friend, Rich Paul, is now turning on him when asked on a podcast with Max Kellerman, one shot to win a game, who's taking that shot?
According to Carton, Rich Paul said he would take Michael Jordan in that scenario over LeBron. That podcast moment Carton referenced added fuel to a fire that was already spreading across the basketball media landscape. Redick, for his part, has pushed back against media and fan-over speculation about LeBron's future, even going so far as to mock early Decision 2.0 style rumors. But once the coach's words were out there, it did not matter what he meant. It mattered what people heard. And what people heard was that LeBron James was at the center of everything wrong with the Lakers. The timing made it worse. This was a team that had started the season without LeBron. He missed the first 14 games due to sciatica. When he came back, the offensive rhythm the team had built without him got disrupted. Redick was pointing to that disruption, but the narrative had already taken shape, and it was not a flattering one for the 41-year-old in his 23rd season. The question that everyone started asking was not whether Redick was right or wrong about the X's and O's. The question was whether LeBron James had become the problem instead of the solution. And that question was about to get louder, because J.J. Redick was not the only former or current figure in the Lakers organization who had something to say. The chorus gets louder. If J.J. Redick's press conference was the match, Byron Scott was the gasoline. Scott played for the Lakers. He coached the Lakers. He has earned the right to speak on the franchise with an authority that most media members simply do not possess. And when he was asked whether it was time for LeBron to go, he did not flinch, stutter, or dodge.
You know, I mean, like I said, I'm a fan, but you know, I don't mince words either.
Byron Scott, a man who won 3 championships wearing purple and gold, was saying out loud what whispers inside the league had been circulating for months.
I mean, I think this should be his last year here.
Not in the NBA, just here.
He said the Lakers specifically needed to move on, even if LeBron's body and mind still had something left to give to another franchise.
You have to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here.
But Byron Scott's words were just the doorway into a deeper, more uncomfortable conversation about what LeBron had been doing on the court in the 2025-26 season. The host of the segment broke down specific behaviors that he believed were sabotaging the team's success, and the accusations were relentless. The first charge was stat padding. The argument was brutally straightforward. LeBron James, at 41 years old, was no longer playing to win games. He was playing to protect his numbers. The defensive concerns were the next domino to fall. LeBron's 2025-26 numbers show he averaged 1.2 steals and 0.6 blocks per game, which are respectable counting stats. But the eye test, the moments when a defender needs to rotate, close out, or simply stay in front of his man, told a different story to his critics. The chemistry issue with Luka Doncic was perhaps the most structurally devastating argument against LeBron staying. Anonymous team sources noted discomfort and worries about hierarchy when trying to keep everyone involved in the offense. When you pair two ball-dominant players who both need the rock in their hands to maximize their impact, someone has to take a step back, and the question hovering over the entire season was whether LeBron was willing, or even capable, of being that someone. An anonymous Eastern Conference executive echoed a similar sentiment in February 2026, telling ESPN the Lakers should move off LeBron and use the cap space to retool around Doncic. That was not a media personality generating content. That was a front office mind inside the league offering a cold, strategic assessment that aligned perfectly with what Byron Scott and the commentators were saying publicly. The narrative was now fully formed. The coach had talked about organizational problems since LeBron's return. A three-time champion in a Lakers uniform had said it was time for LeBron to leave. Media figures had called him washed, selfish, and a stat patter. And an anonymous executive had laid out the financial case for letting him walk. The only voice missing from this conversation was the one that mattered most, LeBron's own. When LeBron spoke, in the middle of all the external noise, the press conferences, the hot takes, the anonymous executive quotes, LeBron James opened his mouth and gave the world something it had never heard from him before. He used a word he had spent 2 decades avoiding: retirement. It happened after the Lakers were eliminated from the playoffs. LeBron had just put up 40 points in a loss. He walked to the podium, sat down, and started talking in a way that felt different from every other post-game press conference he had ever given.
But we'll see what happens going forward.
That opening was classic LeBron. Vague, measured, giving nothing away. But then the tone shifted almost imperceptibly. The repetition of "we'll see" gave way to something that sounded far less rehearsed.
But I don't know. I got a lot to think about, to be honest.
And then he continued.
Just for me personally, going forward with the game of basketball, got a lot to think about.
Those words detonated across the sports world like a grenade tossed casually into a quiet room. LeBron James says he doesn't know if he'll play another NBA season. The headline wrote itself. And unlike the Redick press conference, which required interpretation and spin, this was LeBron himself, unfiltered, sitting in a chair after a season-ending sweep, acknowledging that the end might be near. The reaction inside the media was instantaneous and fascinating in its range. Joy Taylor, speaking on her show, had a viscerally confident take on what LeBron was really doing.
He's not retiring. I mean, I feel pretty solid in saying that.
Her reasoning was grounded in something concrete and deeply personal to LeBron.
First of all, he's made it very clear he wants to play with Bronny,
Yes.
which is something that at this point is still attainable.
The Bronny factor is something that cannot be overstated when dissecting LeBron's retirement calculus. A reported $7.9 million incentive tied to Bronny's rookie-scale contract, which runs through at least 2026 to 27, could encourage LeBron to stay on a veteran deal with a reduced role. LeBron has called playing with his son a cool moment for the family, and the financial architecture is designed to make that happen. Walking away from basketball means walking away from the chance to share an NBA court with his own child, a milestone that no father in the history of the sport has ever achieved at this level. But not everyone was buying the "he'll be back" narrative. One of the most piercing observations came from the same panel, dissecting something LeBron said that most viewers glossed over. After the elimination, LeBron told reporters he still believed he was in the 90th or 95th percentile of NBA players. On the surface, that sounds like confidence, but beneath the words was an admission that stunned those paying close attention.
But you realize that means LeBron James was admitting that 10% of players are better than him, or 5% of players are better than him.
The host followed up with the philosophical weight of that admission.
No great verbalizes that. Because before you can ever verbalize anything in life, you got to think about it.
That observation cracked open something enormous. For 20 of his 24 combined years in high school and the NBA, LeBron James had been the best player on the court every single night. Now he was publicly acknowledging that a meaningful percentage of the league had surpassed him. That is not the language of a man planning his next championship run. That is the language of a man reckoning with the twilight of a career that has spanned longer than some of his teammates have been alive. Another panelist framed retirement through the lens of how all great athletes eventually reach their last game. The observation was deceptively simple, but emotionally devastating in its clarity.
Great players retire for one of two reasons. Either they've won it all, or they realize they not close to winning it all.
LeBron's situation did not fit neatly into either category. He had won it all before, 4 championships across 3 franchises, but the distance between where the Lakers stood and where a championship team needed to be felt like a canyon that no amount of individual brilliance could bridge.
LeBron James didn't just lose to the Nuggets, he got swept by the Nuggets. The distance between LeBron James and a title is not just 2 series, it's 8 games.
The sweep was the emotional catalyst, not just losing, but losing without stealing a single game. The host used a concept he called distance determines drive. The idea that how far you are from a goal directly controls how motivated you remain to chase it. But even in the aftermath of the sweep in the press conference, another voice on the panel cautioned against taking LeBron's words at face value. The observation was sharp and layered with an understanding of how LeBron James has operated throughout his entire career. The implication hung in the air like a storm cloud, that LeBron's retirement comments might not have been pure emotion. They might have been leverage. LeBron is on a $52.6 million player option year, and putting the idea of retirement on the table gives him enormous power over how the Lakers construct their roster going forward. If the franchise believes there is even a chance he walks away, they are more likely to accommodate his wishes, whether that means roster moves, minutes adjustments, or clearing the path for Bronny. LeBron himself has framed retirement as a celebration of life, not a loss, and has emphasized mental and family readiness over pure statistics. That framing is telling. It suggests a man who has already begun the internal work of imagining his life after basketball, even if the final decision has not been made. The numbers behind the noise. The loudest voices in the LeBron retirement conversation have been opinions, interpretations of press conferences, reactions to post-game comments, accusations of selfishness and stat padding. But basketball, for all its emotional drama, is also a game that keeps an obsessively detailed record of everything that happens on the court. And those records paint a picture of LeBron James in 2025 to 26 that does not align with the narrative of a player who needs to walk away. LeBron played 60 games this season, averaging 20.9 points, 7.2 assists, and 6.1 rebounds per game in 33.2 minutes. At 41 years old, in his 23rd NBA season, those numbers placed him 26th in the league in scoring, not 26th among players his age, not 26th among veterans, 26th in the entire NBA, a league filled with players who were in elementary school when LeBron was winning his first MVP. His shooting efficiency was equally stubborn in its defiance of the aging curve. LeBron shot 51.5% from the field and posted a true shooting percentage of approximately 59.4%. Those are not the numbers of a player who has lost his ability to put the ball in the basket. Those are the numbers of a player who has learned over the course of more than 2 decades exactly which shots he can still make and which ones he cannot. The advanced metrics reinforce the basic box score data in ways that made the washed narrative difficult to sustain under scrutiny. His player efficiency rating was 20.8, his box plus minus was a positive 3.5, and the Lakers' on-off splits showed a clear pattern. The team went 39-21 in games LeBron played and 14-8 in games he missed. A positive BPM of 3.5 means the team was meaningfully better when he was on the floor compared to when he was sitting. That is not the statistical fingerprint of a liability. That is the fingerprint of a player who still moves the needle. The injury context is essential to understanding the full arc of LeBron's season. He missed the first 14 games due to sciatica, a nerve condition that affects the lower back and legs, and one that required an extraordinarily cautious return to play process. He missed training camp. He missed the preseason. He came back to a team that had already built offensive habits and rotational chemistry without him. The disorganization that Redick described in his press conference was not just about LeBron being a bad player. It was also about a team trying to reintegrate one of the most ball-dominant players in NBA history into a system that had spent nearly a month learning to function without him. And then came March, the month that, according to multiple reports, changed the franchise's landscape. Something clicked. LeBron accepted his role as the third option behind Doncic and Reeves, and the results were seismic. The Lakers went 15-2 in March, posting their best stretch of basketball in years. LeBron's individual numbers during that run were a masterclass in sacrificial brilliance. 56.2% from the field, 18.5 points, 7 assists, and 6.9 rebounds per game across 14 March appearances. Those numbers tell the story of a player who figured out how to be effective without being the focal point. The scoring dipped. 18.5 is not the 27 or 30 he used to hang on a nightly basis, but the efficiency skyrocketed. The assists stayed elite, and the wins piled up at a rate that made every negative narrative from earlier in the season look premature. The three-star alignment of Doncic, Reeves, and a willing, adaptable LeBron produced basketball that had Lakers fans, for the first time in months, genuinely optimistic about where this team could go. The close of the regular season reinforced the March momentum. In his final 3 games before the playoffs, LeBron averaged 24 points, 9.7 assists, 6 rebounds, and 3 steals per game. Those are numbers that would make any coach in the league thrilled to have on their roster sheet. Nearly 10 assists per game means LeBron was not hoarding possessions. He was creating opportunities for everyone around him at a rate that few point guards in the league could match. Joy Taylor, who had watched the entire season unfold, put a fine point on the disconnect between the narrative and the reality.
So he's still capable of putting up 40. It's not like he's washed. It's not like we're watching him drag himself up and down the court.
That observation was bolstered by a fact that the critics largely ignored. The Lakers finished as the number 4 seed in the Western Conference. They were not a lottery team being dragged down by an aging star. They were a playoff team that, when healthy and aligned, played at a level that put fear into the rest of the conference. The subtle regression signals were there for anyone willing to look honestly at the data. His three-point shooting sat at 31.7%, which is modest. His scoring volume was down from prior peaks. The first step explosiveness that once made him the most terrifying transition player in basketball history had diminished. Not disappeared, but clearly diminished. When forced back into lead scoring duties due to injuries to Doncic or Reeves, the burden was visibly heavier on a 41-year-old body. But here is the thing about regression. It is relative. LeBron James at 85% is still a player who ranks in the top 30 scorers in the league, still facilitates at an elite level, and still makes his team measurably better when he is on the floor. The question was never whether he had declined. Of course, he had. The question was whether the decline had reached the point where continuing to play was hurting more than helping. The decision only he can make. Everything that has been said by the coach, by Byron Scott, by Craig Carton, by anonymous executives, by the panelists who dissected LeBron's post-game press conference, orbits around a central truth that no amount of analysis or opinion can change. The decision belongs to LeBron James, and LeBron James alone. The most recent reporting from The Athletic, published on April 17, 2026, confirmed what had been suspected, but not yet stated this clearly. LeBron has made no decisions regarding his future, and retirement remains a real possibility. ESPN's Brian Windhorst and other insiders have reported that the Lakers genuinely do not know LeBron's plans, describing the situation as authentically undecided rather than a foregone conclusion dressed up as suspense. This is not a player who has made up his mind and is milking the drama. This is a man, a 41-year-old man with a family, a business empire, and a body that has endured 23 professional seasons, who is legitimately weighing whether the grind is worth it for one more year. The factors pulling him back toward the court are powerful. The $7.9 million incentive tied to Bronny's contract is designed to make a father-son reunion financially attractive. Bronny's rookie-scale deal runs through at least 2026 to 27, which means the window for LeBron to share an NBA floor with his eldest son is narrow and closing. Walking away now means closing that window permanently. And LeBron has been consistent across years of interviews and public comments in identifying playing alongside Bronny as one of the remaining goals that motivates him to keep going.
I firmly believe he wants to play with Bronny. And when you really take a step back and think about it, the opportunity to actually play with your son.
That opportunity, unprecedented, unrepeatable, and deeply personal, may ultimately be the strongest force keeping LeBron in the league. Not the money, not the records, not the desire to prove Craig Carton wrong or to show Byron Scott that he still belongs. The chance to look to his left on an NBA court and see his own son running beside him. But the factors pulling him toward retirement are equally compelling and cannot be dismissed as media noise. At 41, the daily recovery grind, maintenance, rehabilitation, minutes management is real and only intensifies with each passing season. The sciatica that cost him the first 14 games was a reminder that his body, no matter how meticulously maintained, is not immune to the ravages of time. Even his elite output requires overly cautious handling, according to reports. Every game played is a negotiation between ambition and biology. Teammates have privately noted there's nothing left to prove. That sentiment captures something that statistics cannot: the emotional exhaustion of a man who holds virtually every meaningful record in the sport. All-time leading scorer, 4 championships, 4 MVPs, 20 All-Star selections. At a certain point, the motivation to keep going must come from something internal, something that no trophy or accolade can provide. And the question of whether that internal fire still burns is one that only LeBron can answer. Speculation persists about sentimental options, like a return to the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Golden State Warriors, but nothing has been confirmed. Those scenarios would represent a departure from the Lakers, but not from basketball, adding yet another variable to a decision tree that already has more branches than a redwood. The cap flexibility argument, letting LeBron walk so the Lakers can retool around Doncic with younger, cheaper, higher upside players, exists in front office spreadsheets, but is not manifested as organizational policy. As of right now, the door is open for LeBron to return. LeBron's 2025-26 performance has been, by the standards of any 41-year-old in any sport, remarkable. A positive BPM of 3.5, a true shooting percentage near 60%. A 15-2 march that proved the 3-star model could work when everyone committed. A team that finished as the 4th seed in the most competitive conference in basketball. Whether he will stay or resign soon is a question no one can answer for now, but the NBA world will keep watching. So, when is the right time for a legend like LeBron James to walk away? And do you think he should go out on his own terms or wait until the game starts telling him it's over? Let me know what you think in the comments section. For more videos like this, click on this next card on your screen.